And you're in the prosecutor's office.
We're live.
Okay.
Seems a little dark though. I'm going to just turn on a couple more lights.
We'll ask you about that again in 10 years.
I think that will make all the difference.
Oh, okay.
Well, it definitely changes the broadcast.
Okay, well, that's good. Okay.
So I'm just trying to get good light.
Sitting right in the middle of the frame there.
No, I don't have you in frame. Okay.
So welcome everybody. It's kind of nice how you all like the prison and they know each other, all kind of sick, they all meet each other. That's kind of it's very heartwarming that you're all good friends already. Welcome to our meeting. We're really excited about our presenter Adam Greco, who's going to have a terrific presentation for us and a lot of emails about it. We're going to go through minutes, typical presentation. We'll do our flip again as usual. That we'll let him go first, and then we'll finish up our meeting with the as per the agenda. So we do need to vote for the minutes from May 11th and also the July 13th meeting. So if you were at the May 11th meeting, you can vote to approve or not approve. So any nominations to approve the May 11th minutes? Michelle, thank you. Second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and how about the July? We had our meeting in the summer, it was a lunchtime meeting. We need to approve and vote on those?
Yeah.
Okay, nominate, yes, okay. And then the second from Bob, thank you. All in favor of approving the minutes from the July meeting? Say yes. Yes. Any opposed? Okay.
One abstention.
Okay. Before you move on, because I'm getting old. Okay. I'm gonna do that kind of quick. Did I go too fast?
For the May.
You need the second ones?
I motion.
Okay.
Who was my second? Missy second.
July, Demetrius, and then I second.
Got it.
Wonderful. Thank you.
And we had an abstention.
Yes, one abstention for July.
She abstained from the, or from
No, from the second one. Got it.
Thank you. New members? Anybody new? First time they're here? Hi, welcome. You are?
Joe Dills,
Hi, Joe. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming. And you're from?
Cherryville East High School.
Okay, great. We have a Joe Dilks also at Egg Harbor Township High School.
Ah.
I used to work with them, so. A lot of jokes in that Egg Harbor Township area. Yeah. Hi, another new member. Welcome.
Thank you. Dwayne Watkins. I'm off the clock, so you don't have to call me by formalities, but normally it's Detective Watkins. I'm the prosecutor
Oh, I like it.
at Cumberland County. I'm also an adjunct at several other locations. I was invited down because I've heard great things, and I wanted to become part of the membership, and well, add my name to the list.
Great, thanks for coming.
Thanks, Brian.
Hi.
Hi, I'm
Welcome.
Raj, and I'm a sophomore at Stockton University. I'm a former student of Mrs. Esselman, and yay! Yeah, she kind of guided me to my career path, so thank you. And I work at IT services. I'm involved with computer science, and it's something I love. So yeah.
Great. Well, thank you all for our new people coming. Anyone else? Okay. We need to do our annual officer nominations and elections. I sent out a few emails looking for nominations, and it's been pretty much a lot of the same people. And unless anybody has any, they'd like to self-nominate, you can do that as well. Yes, ma'am.
I'll nominate Michelle for secretary.
Okay. Should we
Thank
start
you,
with
Dawn.
that? That's so sweet.
Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you.
I nominate Lynn for president.
Okay. Michelle, will you accept your nomination?
I do accept
Then
my
I'll
nomination
mine as well.
so that you may vote if anyone else is interested.
Do we want to go one by one or just go as a slate?
nominate, and if anybody else wants to nominate, then we can just
Okay,
vote and see if there's anybody else.
then we'll put them on the board.
Sure.
Okay, so then we still need a vice president, and I would like to nominate Adam Swift, because he's done a really good job helping me, so if I get that same position again, I think it'd be very helpful. And we need a nomination for treasurer. I know that Tony DePietro agreed, if no one else is interested, that he would be willing to do that. So is there anybody that would like that position, or would like to nominate someone that they know of?
I'd like to nominate Tony.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That's good. We work with Tony, and he's done a lot of good work with Mary Ann, doing some fundraising and whatnot, so I think that's a good choice. E at the end.
Yes, I always do that.
That's all right. I guess we should probably go one for one, like one at a time. So, I will accept that, and anyone, I guess, anyone that would like to vote for me for president? That's kind of self-serving. Say aye.
Yes,
Say aye.
she's turning around.
Those that are opposed, say nay. Okay, well, thanks, I appreciate that. Vice President?
Well, I think you should release your medical records.
Go on,
All
Dr.
right,
Oz.
all right. Well, I can still stand here. I haven't fainted yet, so I think I'm okay right now. But I'm holding this, so.
Demetrius will hold you up.
Okay, thank you. It's got my back, I appreciate
Just keep
that.
the water intake in.
Exactly. Vice President for Adam Swift, and all in favor? Any opposed? Secretary Michelle Wunsch, all in favor? Any opposed? And Tony, who's not here, although I don't think he's listening because they have back to school night tonight. That's why Adam, Tony, and a couple others aren't here. Tony DePietro for treasurer, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, great. We can move on. Just a couple quickie things to tell you. Thank you all, and I appreciate you all being here and doing so. There's a couple things about CSTA membership that may be changing. So if you're not already a member, you want to get on there and get that membership, because I don't think they're going to charge for basic membership, but they're going to charge for some of the things at some point, which is just right now rumor. There's nothing written on that. I went to a meeting over the summer for all of the New Jersey chapters, and that's one of the things they were talking about. So sign up now, because if it does get to that point and you get to be grandfathered in, you might have all those benefits.
I have a question. So when I joined CSTA, I started getting dual messages from ACM, because I do have a membership with them, which I just renewed. But so they don't, the membership records?
I guess
don't
not,
talk
but I
to
think that's one of the things they're working on, is because when you join CSTA, then you actually get an ACM email that you can utilize. So I'm guessing there's probably an overlap, but I think they would probably correct that. You know, I don't know anybody else that's in ACM that has that, so we'll look into it, check that out. Thank you. So I would suggest that you get on there and please get us your membership number so that we can be sure to add that to our tabs, because that helps us when we do our annual reports, how many are actual CSTA members. We can only include the people that have the membership number. Adam Greco, who is a friend of our family and an amazing professional in the area, is going to speak to us about unmanned aerial systems, if I spelled it right. And it's actually unmanned aviation systems,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
And I sent out the agenda so everybody's got an idea what the presentation's about, and I'm really excited, really looking forward to it. Thank you. Let me get you.
Thank you for using a photograph. That's probably about 20 years old.
You know what? Sometimes we like not to age. I don't know about everybody, but is that what you want to be?
That's good.
You good with that? Okay. Sure.
Thank you. Hey, good evening. My name is Adam Greco. I work for the FAA and have done so since 1975. I call this particular presentation, because I have different ones that involve unmanned aviation system. I call this Keeping Up with the Joneses, okay? And basically, I just do updates. Now I'm going to break this presentation down into pretty much amendment breaks, because that's an important thing. A couple of other topics, okay? But then I'll get to applications, and I think you'll be surprised at the applications, okay, in the United States and throughout the world, okay? Stockton on July 20th of this year. Myself, Greg Meyer, who's a good friend of mine, he runs the Oceanic Lab at the Tech Center, and Jerry the Rocket Man, Iana Cohn, we got together and took the entire day for the Tech Trek team. Okay, that's the very advanced girls who compete to get into the Tech Trek camp in Stockton. And I took 20 of the young ladies to Philadelphia Tower. Dawn, where are you? Dawn was with us. Okay. And they had a really good time there. They gave me a tour of the cab and also the radar room and then the back room. The girls had a great time. Greg took 20, okay, and he went flying drones, okay, at Stockton University with them. I worked out a special agreement, okay, with Atlantic City Tower, since you guys are so close to the tower. Your consideration for runway 22. So we guaranteed that the drones would not exceed 100 feet above ground level, okay, and then the tower was okay. Greg had a transceiver, and he was listening to the traffic on the discrete frequency at Atlantic City. He called them before, he called them after, and told them when he was done with the operation, so it worked out really good. Jerry and Iana Cohn have the younger ladies for a day. They built rockets in the morning. I'm talking about sophisticated rockets, not things you buy at Walmart. And then they launched them in the afternoon. Same deal, okay? Jerry had to go to a special location on Stockton because his rockets exceed 250 to 300 feet, and then they deploy down on the ground, okay, with a parachute. Right? So that's what we did for Tech Trek last year, and I see some familiar faces around here. And we're going to be involved next year. We have some good ideas. We basically work with Michelle Douglas and Dean Claudine, okay, and Ms. Keenan. Okay, so, okay, let's get started. Okay, I just came from a UAS conference, actually a symposium in San Diego, and I was one of the people speaking, and I gave pretty much the same presentation I'll give you tonight. I'm really terribly bad that I only have an hour, okay? It's very hard for me to talk for 1 hour, okay, as it would be for you in your area of expertise. Okay, these are basically representations of different traffic and routes around the world. Basically, for the most part, the National Airspace System is what we call our airspace system in the domestic United States and Alaska. 70% of the world's air traffic every single day is right here in the 48 coterminous states. Okay, so we are where it's at in the world. Okay, there's more air traffic there than any other place in the world. Okay, and then of course we have Europe. Okay, and then you have Asia, Middle East, Africa, and Latin America. Not so much in terms of airspace there. Now, just one thing to keep in mind. I'm going to talk a little bit about control, just to give you some context, because that's where drones fly. Okay, that's the the world they live in, or the world they want to live in. Now that they're getting integrated. When we count traffic in this country, okay, for our traffic count, we're counting takeoffs, landings, and overflights. Not so in Europe and Asia. They count enplanements. Okay. But whether you count enplanements, okay, or takeoff, landings, and overflights, Atlanta, Hartsfield is the busiest airport in the world. There's nothing like it. I've never been there, okay, but it's a beautiful layout. They did all the right things, okay. It's just an incredible operation, it really is. And they, of course, they vie back and forth with Chicago O'Hare for the traffic count. Now that Chicago's got 6 parallel runways, it's going to be difficult, okay, for Atlanta to hold on to that. And the delays in Chicago have gone down a lot, okay, since they had the new parallel runways in. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the NAS, the National Airspace System. Okay, first of all, there's airspace, and airspace is like the real estate of the sky. Okay, it's location, location, location. Just to give you an example, every August 18th on my birthday, I go up to the traffic management lab, and I freeze a display. Okay, these are all commercial aircraft, military aircraft, okay, that are on instrument flight plans. Okay, at exactly 2 o'clock in the afternoon on August 18th. As you can see, again, location. Not too many aircraft over here, okay, in the area of Montana and lower Canada, okay, and the Dakotas. The West Coast is just starting to wake up, okay, but when you take a look at what we call the Northeast Corridor, that's from Washington, okay, Reagan and Dulles, up to Baltimore, Washington, up to Philly International, up to LaGuardia, JFK, and Newark, and stopping at Boston, Logan. That is the Northeast Corridor. It looks like you could walk wingtip to wingtip and never hit the ground, okay? That's where the country's air traffic is. At this particular time, there were, I believe that's 5,600 airplanes in the sky. On a given summer day, it's not unusual to have 6,500 aircraft there, okay? And this is just instrument flights. I'm not counting military flying in their military airspace or general aviation flying VFR. You'd never be able to see anything then. Oops, got ahead of myself. Okay, next thing is airports. We have more than any other continent in the world. We have close to 19,000 airports. Of course, maybe 550 are set up for instrument flights, precision landings, and commercial Part 121 operations in Part 135. Okay. There I go throwing acronyms around. If I'm saying anything that you guys don't understand, just raise your hand. Okay. By the way, while we're on that topic, I left my email and I left my telephone number. If you guys need any clarifications or anything, you can just call me at 609-485-4405. That line goes right to me. It goes past my secretary. Okay. There's my email, adam.greco@faa.gov, if you need any clarifications or anything else like that. Okay, so airports, then we have navigational facilities. We have thousands of them. Nowadays, when you talk about navigation facilities in the FAA, you're talking about land-based, okay, instrument landing systems, approach flights, things like that. But now we're really talking about satellites, okay? As of March 3 years ago, there were more precision approaches made using GPS, okay, than ground-based navigation, okay? So that's it's not the wave of the future, it is the present. Regulations, we have thousands of them. Regulations are not determined by the Air Traffic Division, they're determined by the division we call flight standards. They're the ones that go out and certify pilots, certify airports, certify airplanes, and things like that. Thousands and thousands of pages of regulation. Services, we provide separation services in the FAA. The airlines provide the transportation. Human resources, it takes 800,000 people every day, okay, directly to support the National Airspace System. It takes 11 million indirectly to support the National Airspace System. Then we have the military. 20% of our traffic every day is military. When the military flies in their airspace, they go by their own rules, okay? They go by their own separation. The minute they come into civil airspace, they're subject to our rules and regulations. And then we have intellectual property, okay? And that's, of course, the sum total of all the creativity, knowledge, and brain power of everybody involved in the NAS, not just the FAA, okay? But in the NAS itself. Okay, we in aviation borrowed a lot from the maritime culture. For example, the compass rose 360 degrees, okay? You know, we're a very lucky planet. And the reason we're a lucky planet is because we have magnetic fields. And when you have magnetic fields, you can use a compass, okay? And we use the compass many, many years, okay, to navigate. Now, of course, we have GPS. I just read a fascinating book, if you guys are interested in it. It's called Pinpoint, and it's the complete history of navigation from the Polynesians 4,000 or 5,000 years ago, who actually navigated in a system called ETAC. Okay, all the way up to the present time. And there's one chapter that's called Death by GPS. And the author talks about the culture, the impact that GPS is having on the culture. And he was talking about people who are driving along and will absolutely faithfully listen to the GPS no matter where they are or what they're doing. And he has documented examples of a guy who was driving with his wife in Indiana. He was in unfamiliar territory. And he's driving and he sees traffic cones on the ground on this road, and he just gets out and moves them, okay, because the GPS says proceed straight. It gets worse, okay? So then he's driving along, okay, and there is a slight barrier that says, you know, construction will begin, okay, and I think it said, by the time the story took place, construction will commence on the summer of 2012. He just kept driving, okay? He came up to a sign that said bridge closed, okay? It didn't mean anything to him. In his car, he fell 100 feet into the water, killing himself and his wife, okay? There are other stories like that, okay? People just getting, you know, totally abandoned, okay, by following their GPS and not using, you know, basic references around them. So there was celestial navigation, that's navigating by the stars. That started with the Polynesians, okay? We use nautical miles just like the maritime does. The nautical mile is a regular statute mile that we're used to is 5,280 feet. The statute mile is 6,086 feet. Okay? And we use knots, okay, instead of miles per hour. Lighted beacons, okay, that started, okay, with lighthouses and things like that. Morse code, I don't know anybody that uses Morse code anymore except for DORs and Vortex, okay? Those are navigation facilities in the FAA. And then, of course, there's charts, and nowadays we have lat long, okay, and everything else like that. So that was what started our culture. Now, this is a little complicated. I'll try to make it real easy. We have classes of airspace in the National Airspace System, okay? And these things apply to drones also. Yes, I use the word drones. I can't get away. I can't keep saying unmanned aviation systems, okay? Not if you're teaching and stuff like that. So I succumbed to the temptation, okay? And now I use the word drones, so forgive me. Please, no disrespect meant. This is 60,000 feet. Basically, what you have at 60,000 feet is basically military flying up there, okay? But you also nowadays have the Global Hawk, okay, which is a very sophisticated UAS used by NASA and other organizations, okay? And they're up there at 60,000 feet. Then you have what's called Class A airspace, okay? That's 18,000 feet to 60,000 feet. This is pretty much where commercial aircraft fly. Usually 31,000, 35, depending on their direction of flight, things like that, okay? Then you have Class B airspace, which looks like an upside-down wedding cake. This is, if you're familiar with Philadelphia Airport, okay, this is what it looks like. You come in this way, you transition down, and then you land. Then you have Class C airspace, that's Atlantic City, okay? This actually goes up to about 10,000 feet, okay, above ground level. And then we have Class C airspace, okay, and that goes up to, depending on the facility, maybe 4,000 feet, 5,000 feet. Then you have Class D airspace. That could be an airfield that doesn't have a tower in operation for 24 hours, okay? And then you have Class G airspace. That's the airspace that's around down here. It's basically around 700 to 1,200 AGL. Then you have Class E airspace, which the government defines as Class E airspace is any airspace that's not A, B, C, D, E. Okay? Sorry, but that's what it is. It takes most of the airspace up there. And you'll notice there's no Class F airspace, okay, because we don't have that anymore, but they have it in Australia. And Class F airspace means that's the Wild West, baby. There's no search and rescue or anything else. You're on your own. Okay, so that's classes of airspace. And for the most part, this is what, there are certain drone operators. Now that, as of August 29th, we have a whole new set of rules, and I'll explain those, and they're in the handout. I'm going to give you a handout that has all the frequently asked questions about the brand new Part 107. So you just read through that, it will tell you everything, how to register your drone and everything else like that, so you don't get in trouble or get a fine. Okay, we can skip this one. Okay, in maritime and aviation, we use what's called coordinated universal time. It means it's the same time every place in the world, okay? And it's basically set up, for the most part, by the atomic clock, okay? And it's not necessary, but it checks to reset every night at midnight, okay, even though it's not going to change. And we use, again, the International Atomic Clock, this collection of 200 highly precise atomic clocks. So our time is absolutely, completely accurate. Of course, there's other forms of time. Okay, there's sidereal time, the time it takes to orbit the Earth. There's ephemeris. Okay, there's different types of time. This is what we use. Okay, it has the slang term Greenwich Mean Time or Zulu time. You still hear that used, and we know what it means. Okay, but the actual term is UTC. Why, wait, any questions anywhere along the line? Just raise your hand. Okay. Let's see. The universal language of air traffic control in international airspace, okay, is English. That decision was made by the UN in Montreal by a group called ICAO, International Aviation Organization. And that vote was taken, as your vote took place today, that vote was taken, and English won over French by 1 vote. Okay? I'm really happy about that because I'm not too good at languages other than English. Okay? And I can't imagine going through my whole career, 4 years speaking French. Oh, beautiful language. I just glad that I didn't have to learn.
When was that vote taken?
1947. Yeah, because before that, I mean, it was just, it was like the Tower of Babel. I mean, literally, people were talking different languages. Now, let me clarify something, okay, so we understand each other. This is international airspace, but you speak English. When you heard Malaysian Air, unfortunately, sign off when they were talking to Vietnam and ECC, you heard them say good night, okay, in English, okay? When you enter sovereign airspace, it's a slightly different story. If you're in the cockpit and you're flying into Germany, and you initiate, if the crew initiates the conversation in German, the controllers will respond in German. If you go into France and you initiate the conversation in French, they will respond in French, okay? Other than that, it's supposed to be English. The worst example is the Soviet Union, okay? If you're flying in the Soviet Union and you happen to be talking to a military base, they will not respond to you at all. Okay, the mission of the FAA is to provide the safest, most efficient aerospace system in the world. We are a system of air navigation and air traffic control. It is the most complex system in the world, but it's also the safest. Now, I can say safe because I can back it up, okay, with the next slide. Take a look at this, okay? Now, this is done by Dr. Arnold Barnett of MIT, okay? And he's the chairman of the statistics department. And he has combined things into numbers and names. And words. You go to an airport and you take a look at the schedule line up there like this, okay? If you took a random flight every day of your life, you would have to repeat that process for 71,000 years before you would succumb to a fatal accident in aviation, okay? That's pretty safe, all right? You feel much safer now? Good. Okay.
Our viewers asked if you could just turn the volume up a little bit.
Am I speaking? Sure, no problem. Thank you for suggesting
Just
that.
back one slide. I just want to take that back. Thank you so much.
Okay, let's skip this and let's get to the drones, okay? This is a history of unmanned flight. How far back do you think drones go? I one time listened to a so-called expert that told me it went back to the 1980s, 1990s, and the invasion in the Gulf War. 98 years. Okay, 98 years. Okay? The Wright brothers were a tremendous influence. Okay, and the Curtiss N9. Okay, completed its first successful unmanned mission, which involved launching, stable flight, and dived on a target at the exact time, place, and recovered and landed on March 16, 1918 in World War I. That's pretty sophisticated stuff for 98 years ago, okay? Am I talking okay? Is my volume? Okay. So, let's take a look at another example. This is the Kettering aerial bomb, okay? It's an Army-funded project, and this was developed by the Ford Motor Company. Okay, it weighed about 151 pounds. It was catapult launched, like a lot of drones were in those days. Okay, it weighed 300 pounds, but it could carry 300 pounds. The total cost was $400. Okay, and Kettering collaborated with Orville Wright. Okay, he became Man of the Year on Time magazine. Another example. This is a person who I think does not get enough credit in the world. Okay, especially when it comes to science. This is Nikola Tesla. Okay, Nikola Tesla worked for Thomas Edison. Okay. But when you take a look at some of the incredible inventions he had and ideas and things like that, okay, it's just amazing. He at one time worked for Thomas Edison, and then Thomas Edison told him he would pay him $10,000 if he solved the problem he had with a customer. He went out there by himself, solved the problem, and Thomas Edison said, "I was just kidding." Okay, Tesla walked out on him, okay, and then started his own business and started teaching in college. Tesla, in many advances in technology, would seem unrelated. Okay, he put together the teleautomation. Okay, I know that looks pretty primitive. Okay, but that's actually what he started. Okay, and it could teleautomate itself. Okay, in water like that. Great person. Okay, if you're interested, this is where the term drone comes from. Okay, the N2C-2 target drone. Okay, the Navy developed. Okay, with a 48-foot wingspan and a Lycoming engine, okay? And this is back during World War II, and it was kind of groundbreaking, okay, because it had an RCA television camera on the nose, okay, to provide pilot control. Another airplane was controlling it, and it was used in the Pacific Theater in 1944 with definable success against Japanese positions in the Bougainville campaign. Okay, this is another tremendous advance in rocketry, okay, and that is the V1 rocket and the V2 rocket designed by the Germans, okay? And the design and the aerodynamics were revolutionary, okay, in this particular rocket, okay? And of course, as you know, under Operation Paperclip, Wernher von Braun and his scientists came to America at the end of World War II. Okay, but let's get into modern times now. Okay, the first modern rocket was the Pioneer. It was very exemplary, okay, and then came the Predator. Okay, we'll talk about that a little bit. The Predator carried out about 2,000 missions, okay, in 2005 and 2006 in Afghanistan and Iraq. In contrast to the Predator, you got the Global Hawk, okay, which operates virtually autonomously, receiving its directions from GPS and reports back with a live feed at a range of 3,000 miles. That's the particulars on the Predator. Okay, the Predator was literally invented in a garage, okay, and perfected, okay, by an inventor. This is the Global Hawk, much more sophisticated, okay, and I'm sure you guys are familiar. These are probably the two most common designs, okay, given in the military. Okay, let's do a little definition here. What is an unmanned aerial vehicle? A UAV is commonly known as a drone, is an aircraft without a human pilot on board. Its flight is controlled either autonomously by computers in a vehicle or under remote control of the pilot. The typical launch and recovery method of an unmanned aircraft is by function of an automatic system or an external operator on the ground. Okay, now, if you're going to operate your drone in the National Airspace System, okay, usually you can do it one of many ways. You can follow hobby and recreational rules. That's the simplest, okay? What I do before August 29th, I would take my students to Veterans Park in Galloway, okay? It's exactly 5.4 nautical miles from Atlantic City Tower. I don't need to talk to anybody, okay? So we basically fly there. We stay below 400 feet, okay? We fly what's called visual line of sight, okay? Make sure you're not bugging anybody, okay, or anything else like that. And if you're flying within 5 nautical miles of the tower, you've got to contact them for permission to fly. That's hobby and recreational rules. Those are the simplest. Then there's model aircraft section. We really don't want to get into that. That's model airplanes, but now UASs, okay, are jumped into that category, okay, of model airplanes, and that's in section 336 of the modernization law. Then you have an exemption to section 333. That's what you really had to do before August 29th of this year, okay? You had to apply for an exemption. An exemption meant that it was kind of like a blanket certificate of authorization for you to fly under certain conditions, okay? That would take you about 6 months to get, okay? Then there's a certificate of authorization. That is really bureaucratic, okay? That's for public users, universities, things like that, okay? And also commercial operations. The certificate of authorization, I won't go into too much because you guys are not going to use that, okay? And then you can apply for an airworthiness certificate, okay? If you had a drone that weighed more 55 pounds, or there was something special about it, or something special that it did, okay? And then you have Part 107, which is effective now, okay, as of August 29th. So how do you apply, okay, for your?
Wait,
Yeah.
I want to stop you. This is like for like the Parrot drones, or
No, this is for any drone that's less than 55 pounds. Yeah.
you have to pass the test?
Yeah, in Part 107, everything has opened up, okay, to commercial users, okay, and I'll explain that in great detail.
Okay.
Right now, I just want to. Okay, so now you've got to do two things, okay, or three things, okay, if you're going to be flying a drone under Part 107. First, you've got to contact the closest FAA-approved knowledge testing center and schedule your test. So you got to go out and take an aviation knowledge test, and they show you where that is on the web. Everything you need to know about that is in those 9 pages I gave you. The cost to you is going to be $150 when you take the test, okay? So make sure you pass it the first time. And after the test, you've got to complete the application for the remote pilot certification on the web. Then you got to register. When you complete that, you'll get a temporary sticker, then you get a permanent sticker, and you got to have it on you when you're flying your drone, okay? You got to register your drone with the FAA. That's very important, okay? And it doesn't take anything. It's like $5, and you can do it online. How to do it is right there in those 9 pages. So register your drone with the FAA and use a Before You Fly app. That's an app you'll get, and basically it looks something like this, or exactly like this. If you're flying around here, it'll give you the particulars if anybody else is flying, okay, what the areas are, if there's any obstructions, things like that. There's actually much more sophisticated apps you can get. Lockheed Martin has one that's really incredible, okay? And it's also free, okay? And it gives you a lot of information. It also gives you the ability to apply for what's called a Notice to Airmen, or a NOTAM, telling everybody where you're flying, okay? Okay, if you don't do any of these things that I'm telling you to do, you're subject to criminal and civil fines for violation. One of those fines is $27,000, okay? Now, there's a company right now that did something really, really unsafe. They actually had a COA, okay, a certificate of authorization, and for some strange reason, okay, they decided to violate Class B airspace. So they sent their drone right into the middle of LaGuardia, Newark, and JFK. Okay, they got caught, all right, and they're looking at $1.5 million fine. They're fighting it now in court, okay, but we'll see what happens. Okay. Remind me when I got 10 minutes left. Okay, this is a COA. I explained that before. It is the most formal, okay, authorization you can get from the FAA. It involves a lot of information. It's got a lot of restrictions to it, okay? But you're not really going to be using that. By the way, does anybody here fly drones? Recreation? Oh, okay, good.
Not currently, but I have.
Okay, good. I hope you're following all the rules.
Well, I actually was doing it before the rules went in, and so I don't
Oh,
really
there's
have a
always
drone,
been
but-
rules.
Well, you know what I mean.
I know.
Before the SAA.
I'm not going to turn you in. I threatened Dean Keenan one time. She did something, and I said, you know, Dean, I'm going to put you on the no-fly list. You know? There's actually something worse than the no-fly list. Remind me to tell you at the end of my presentation, okay? Because you don't want this happening to you. It's worse than no-fly. Okay, a blanket COA is an exemption, a 333 exemption. For the most part, even if you're going to operate commercially, you probably don't need this anymore. If you have it already, don't worry about it. You can still use it, okay? Again, it defines places that you can fly, conditions that you can fly, and things like that, okay? For example, once again, if you can fly under daytime visual rules, but you got to stay away from airports and heliports. 5 nautical miles from an airport, 3 nautical miles from an airport with a published incident flight procedure, 2 nautical miles from an airport without, and 2 nautical miles from a heliport. Okay? I presume that's a seaport too. This is what it looked like, okay, before August 29th. You'll notice the date here is August 26th. These petitions have been approved for operating under Section 333. These were not approved, okay? Now, let's take a look at where the exemptions were by industry. Photo and film had the highest, almost 50%, okay, drone usage. Real estate, 28%, okay. Utilities and energy infrastructure, 23%. Agriculture, 20%, but that is going to increase dramatically, okay. There's an area called precision agriculture, okay, and that's where the drone usage is going to be in the near future all around the world. Construction, 17%, emergency services, 7%, education, 6%, manufacturing, 4%, government contracting, 3%, insurance, 3%, conservation, 2%, scientific studies, 2%, and other 1.5%. Let me just say something about some of these things. Real estate. Up until you got an exemption 333, you couldn't do anything with real estate, okay, in this country. However, you could do it in other countries. I called up Sotheby's Real Estate in Ottawa, in Canada, and I said, do you guys have a drone department? She goes, we have a whole department with drones and visual use, okay? Now, Sotheby's deals in estates that range from $10 to $22 million, okay? And what they do is, when one comes up for sale, they'll send out their team, and the drone will fly over the estate, and it'll take pictures at 200 feet. Then it flies around the access areas, the roads and everything else like that, and it photographs that in 4K. Then it'll go to the local shopping center, the local school, different things like that, film it in 4K, okay? Then it goes back to the house. The saleswoman opens the door, and since the drone has 3D navigation, it goes inside the house. It doesn't need GPS at this point. So the saleswoman will open up the door, okay, to the dining room, open up the refrigerator door, take them downstairs, okay, show them the diner's area, okay? And what is the purpose of all this? So you have the entire house in the estate is on DVD, okay? So you can do 10 of these if you want, okay? And when high-end salespeople, high-end customers come in, you don't have to drive. I don't know if anybody's involved with real estate, but there's a lot of wasted time and energy, okay? You don't have to drive out to the houses. You can watch it on DVD right in the real estate broker's office and pretty much whittle down which ones you're interested in, okay, rather than making 10 trips out there, okay? You have everything right there on DVD. So that's the advance it's made in real estate. Okay, UASs are a disruptive industry, okay? Why? And I don't mean that in a pejorative sense, I mean it in an ameliorative sense, because it disrupted a lot of things, okay? Talk to your local commercial airline pilot about how he or she feels okay about drones, right? Okay, so for the most part, it's a huge paradigm shift, okay, just like the Ford was, okay, back at the turn of the century. And it'll have the same impact, according to many people, as the horseless carriage. Now, these are the two kings of UAS, and I have something to say about this. This is very important. What a tremendous job opportunity for women all of a sudden overnight, okay, in unmanned aviation systems. Why? Because the military is teaching more people how to fly drones, okay, than they're teaching people to be fighter pilots or bomber pilots, okay, since it's the wave of the future. You don't have to have been a little girl who daddy didn't take to the airport to learn how to fly, okay? This is Missy Cummings, okay, and she has an incredible background. She's a Naval Academy graduate, okay? She was a fighter pilot in an F-18 carrier base, okay? She's got a master's degree in Naval Postgraduate School, which is my alma mater. She's got a PhD in Systems Engineering. She was a professor at Duke University, and she's the director of the UAS lab at MIT, okay? Those are pretty good credentials. What's interesting about Missy is, Missy says it is better if you did not have a piloting background, okay, if you want to be a drone pilot. I know you may not agree with that, Roseanne, but that's her position. And of course, when you advance in the Air Force and the Navy, you do it through the cockpit, or at least you used to. Okay? So now that has changed. This is Peter Singer. He's a Princeton graduate, PhD at Harvard. At 29, he was the youngest scholar named as the senior fellow at the Brookings Institute. He authored the book Wired for War, which is fantastic. Okay, he did cyber security and cyber war and corporate warriors. And my son loves this. He served as a consultant for the video game Call of Duty. He probably made more money with that than he made in anything else. Two very, very smart people. Okay, you've got to talk about GPS if you're talking about drones. Okay, the Global Positioning System is also known as NavStar. Okay, and it provides location and time information in all weather conditions anywhere on or near the Earth. Okay, it operates independently of any telephonic or internet reception. All right, the Russians have an equivalent. It is called GLONASS. The Indian equivalent is IRNSS. Chinese equivalent is the Little Dipper. European equivalent is Galileo. And those attributed with the invention of GPS are Roger Easton, Ivan Gay, most importantly Bradford Parkinson, and the Applied Physics Labs are credited with inventing GPS. Okay, milestones for GPS project, of course, was Sputnik in 1957, when scientists in this country saw that that was sending back a signal they could pick up. They went berserk. Hey, this is fantastic, okay? U.S. Air Force, okay, had the responsibility for GPS for many decades and did nothing. They didn't budget it or anything else like that, okay? And when someone would point it out, they would say, oh, we know where we are. We have navigation and stuff like that. We don't really need this, okay? Then you had this unfortunate incident here. The Korean Air 007 was using its inertial navigation system in 1983 in a flight in which it transgressed Soviet airspace. There was a Soviet fighter pilot following it and unbelievably shot it down, okay? And at that time, okay, President Reagan said, this is ridiculous. We need a better navigation system. If these guys stray off, what would happen to somebody else? He inputted the wrong coordinates. That's what happened, okay? And many people were lost in that flight, including a U.S. congressman. The first Gulf War in 1991, okay, was the use of the Pioneer, okay, and it actually bothered some generals. Actually, Schwarzkopf was making comments. They were using GPS for the first time. They were using basically the shock and awe that they used later on. And Schwarzkopf was a little concerned because the rockets were destroying everything before he could engage the enemy. So he's sitting back, okay, basically in security, okay, while the drones and everything else are destroying everything, and he doesn't have a chance to engage. Now, some of you may remember that it was actually a part of the Republican Guard that went to surrender to a drone. Okay, that was a famous photograph. You never saw that? Okay, that was really funny. So then you had wide area augmentation service by the FAA completed back in 2007, which made precision approaches available with GPS. Every group has an advocacy group. In this particular case for drones in the country and around the world, it's AUVSI, Association for Unmanned Vehicle Systems International. They're located in Washington and the Maryland area, and they don't like the term drone, okay? As a matter of fact, when they had their meeting last year at a conference, okay, what they said was the password is don't say drones, okay? They are a very powerful organization, okay? They are to drones what AOPA is to airplanes, okay? And so, like I said, they don't like the term. When you call them up and talk to them or they invite you to speak, don't use the word. AUVSI did a very interesting study. They employed Deloitte Touche, which is an accounting firm, and they decided to look at the economic impact of drones from the year 2015 to 2025. And they came up with some really staggering stuff, which is really good news. The integration of drones into the NAS, which is going on big time right now, okay, is going to have an impact on economic and job creation. So during this period between 2015 and 2025, according to Deloitte Touche, nobody has contested this so far, okay? The U.S. is expected to contribute $82.1 billion to the nation's economy, basically through agriculture, public safety, and other activities. That should result in almost 104,000 new jobs, okay? The U.S. integration expects to contribute $76 billion economic impact by agriculture, 33.2 by public safety, and 3.2 billion by other activities. Manufacturing jobs will be almost median income at $40,000. I've seen drone jobs, okay, drone jobs. Positions in drone organizations go for as high as over $100,000, okay? Kansas University, Embry-Riddle, okay, they have 4-year programs in drones, okay? And when they look for those jobs, okay, those are pretty good jobs. I was contacted by Lockheed Martin, and they offered me a job even though we could not discuss this. I'm a federal employee, okay? And it was a pretty nice job. The only problem with the job was there were 2 job locations for the lab. One was in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. The other one was in Arlington, Virginia. Yeah, you know, I'm kind of an old guy. I'm not going to spend 2 hours a day in a traffic jam in Cherry Hill or Arlington, Virginia. I got better things to do with what remaining time I have, okay? So, let's see, where was I? Okay, U.S. integration will create more than 34,000 jobs and 70,000 new jobs. Okay, so we have Fourth Amendment implications, okay, and the people will let you know about that right off the bat, okay, is the ACLU. The Fourth Amendment is part of the Bill of Rights, okay, it talks about unreasonable searches and seizures, all right? We'll go over this quickly. Let's see, the touchstone of the Fourth Amendment, okay, is reasonableness when it comes to search and seizure, okay? The Fourth Amendment offers less robust protection about government surveillance occurring in public places. Now, you have to understand one thing. The FAA has nothing to do with privacy. That is up to cities, states, local government, things like that, okay? FAA has nothing to do with privacy, okay? So we don't take complaints on privacy from drones. Let's see, right now you've got propagation of UASs in law enforcement coming under scrutiny. I was on a telcon about a year ago, okay, and on the telcon with me, okay, was a local police department, okay, and this is what they were admitting to doing. They were admitting to using drones, okay, and surveilling schools to try to find drug dealers, okay, and they would go down and they would surveil, and they would see the same car every day with the same license plate. And so what they did was they surveilled enough schools, and they went to one school, and they saw the car there that they kept seeing, okay, in all of their UAV surveillance, and they arrested the guy for drug dealing. But when it came to trial, they didn't use, okay, the information on the UAV. So they were basically saying, this is what we do, what do you think of that? And I said, look, I'm not a lawyer, but it sounds to me like you better talk to the district attorney, okay, because, definitely talk to the district attorney in a case like that, okay? Because if they find out that you use something, the forbidden fruit or something like that, you could be in trouble. Anyway, that's what they were doing, okay, it was a local jurisdiction. People are concerned about their privacy, and yes, they should be, okay? I mean, take a look at what's happened. This character here, Mark Zuckerberg, and then, surveilling her telephone. I don't know why. I mean, she seems like a nice lady. National security, the NSA. Okay, the Fourth Amendment safeguards Americans from privacy and prevents excessive government intrusion by prohibiting unreasonable searches. So we've had the NSA controversy, the IRS scandal, privacy of medical records, hacking of Target, and even Marcus. Us and the government. Okay, we got hacked. What was it, last year? Okay, 21 million names. Okay, 2 years ago. Yeah. I went and canceled all my credit cards and got new ones, and I got LifeLock. I hope that prevents anything from happening.
You got that CS.
I know, but that's a gift from the government. I want to be really, really safe. So we've got to talk about what is the proper balance, okay, between people being safe and privacy needs of individuals. I basically think that the answer to every question in the universe, whether it's physics or love relationships, is balance. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about that. Courts have consistently ruled that surveillance of an individual in a home and surrounding area is protected. Okay. However, okay, it is reasonable to assume that a warrant is not necessary to conduct UAV surveillance for most public places and for limited periods of time. The courts see the activity of UASs as passive compared to physical searches on or around the border. There has been case law for the Fourth Amendment from the Supreme Court. There's recommendations, okay. Let me just get back for a second. Another consideration is the technology used, warrant requirements. Here is, I cannot believe some people, okay? This is the kid in Connecticut who videotaped his drone with a pistol on it and he was shooting it. And if that wasn't bad enough, he got suspended from school. That is a turkey, okay, during Thanksgiving, okay? And he set up a flamethrower, okay? So, there's the safe use of drones, and then there's the coconuts that end up on YouTube, okay? And he's definitely one of them. Okay, so a conclusion basically is that there is a tremendous legislative climate. Oh. Please answer by the raise of your hands, okay? Okay, since you guys prevented me from watching Jeopardy tonight, okay, I decided to bring Jeopardy here, okay? So, all of the following celebs either own or fly their own aircraft, except one who is severely afraid of flying and at one point in their career had not flown for over 10 years. Can I get an answer? No. Whoopi Goldberg is afraid to fly, but she has flown from time to time. It's not Whoopi, but that's a good guess.
I'm going to be Celine Dion.
No.
Jim Carrey.
No. Okay, I thought this was going to be easy. Okay, the answer is Jennifer Aniston. Okay, now this is the girl next door. Let me tell you how hypocritical she is, okay? She won't fly, but she just did a commercial for Dubai Airlines. And the airplane is on the ground, okay? I don't know if you saw that commercial. It was on the internet, okay? Just amazing. Yeah, John Travolta owns his own airplane. Jim Carrey gets flown around. Whoopi gets flown around. And Celine gets flown around. Okay, let's talk about applications because these are really where it's at. This is a very nice product. It's called the RMAX. It's made by Yamaha. It's a 140-pound drone, okay? You cannot buy it. You can only lease it, okay? They want to keep tight control on it. It's used throughout Asia, okay? Through Australia, New Zealand, okay? China, okay? And it does a lot of amazing things. It's been around for 25 years, okay? Now it's being used by the University of California, okay, at Davis, all right? And let's see, what else to tell you? Okay. It's working in vineyards, okay? So it's involved in viticulture, okay? It flies approximately 3 meters above the vines at a speed up to 20 kilometers. It can cover up to 12 acres an hour. Try doing that with a tractor, okay? In contrast, the tractor can cover 1 acre. If approved, Yamaha would likely target hilly vineyards such as those along the Napa Valley, okay, also in Oregon. And it's formulating the price of its drones. It's considering selling them now, okay? Right now, you've got to abide by their rules and regulations when you fly, their training program and everything else like that, okay? This is the specifications, and they are amazing. I ran this by Rutgers, okay, in their agriculture department, okay, and they were just amazed, okay, at the specifications this thing has. Okay, it's a liquid sprayer, it's a granular sprayer, and it also seeds, okay, so it does all 3 things, right?
Oh.
Yeah, amazing. It uses spraying, seeding, remote sensing, precision agriculture, frost mitigation, variable rate dispersal. In Japan, RMAX are primarily used for seeding and spraying rice. Given the unique features of RMAX, the opportunities in Australia and New Zealand are endless. So those are the specs. I won't go into them, but like I said, I contacted Rutgers and they were extremely impressed. Now, look at this now. Okay, China's San Francisco Express delivers 500 parcels per day. Okay, we are debating in this country about package delivery. Okay, and they're doing it. Okay, over in China, they're doing it in New Zealand, they're doing it in Finland, and they're doing it in Germany. Right? China's largest mail company is set to deliver more than 1,000 packages a day by drone. Okay, the all-weather drones deliver parcels between couriers before automatically returning to base. The goods are loaded onto the drone by a courier, the delivery address is scanned, and the aircraft then flies to the destination autonomously, drops it off, all the finance is done online. Okay? Now, New Zealand has a little different system. In New Zealand, you buy a basket like this and you put it on you put it on the ledge of your window. Okay? The drone will fly out there. It can carry up to 5 pounds. It'll open up its camera and it'll record the delivery, okay? And then it'll turn off the camera, return to base, okay? And the finances are handled online, okay? So anyway, they're delivering parcels over there in Japan, okay? The company was founded in '93. They have 340,000 employees, 16,000 vehicles, 18 aircraft, and 12,000 service centers. And that is it, okay? You can see the package right there, okay? Hydraulic fracturing, controversial subject, okay?
The parcels is just one at a time, right?
Yeah.
Would that take a long time?
It depends. Remember, there's a truck going out there. For example, a truck will go out, okay, and the truck will serve as the center. You may have 4 or 5 drones on there. The destinations are autonomously figured out already through GPS, okay, so you can release one at a time, then they'll return to base, okay, that's how it works. Hydraulic fracturing, everybody knows what that is. Okay, I got to talk, 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, fracturing basically takes place in the Bakken Shale, okay, up in North Dakota. And basically it's pressurized liquid into the ground to recover oil, okay, and natural gas, okay. So what does this have to do with drones? Well, they've been using drones, okay, to basically determine where fugitive methane is. The harmful part of fracturing, okay, is methane escape or fugitive methane into the environment, and it is a bad, bad substance, okay? So basically, the drones will detect it, okay, and they will come back and tell the engineers where they are. They'll go out and they'll determine, okay, that it's either outdated equipment, okay, or it is in the transportation and distribution area, processing, production, and drilling and manufacturing. They'll determine where the leak is through the drone, through the infrared, and then they stop it, okay, and they make it safer. Okay, and this is interesting. Vanderbilt University, in conjunction with the National Science Foundation, okay, they basically use drones to monitor the Matrullata archaeological site in Peru. Built in 1570 as a former Inca settlement, the village is a 45-minute hike for a team in the nearby village of Tuti. The site is composed of standing architecture arranged in regular blocks covering 25 football field square. Archaeological sites that could take years to map are now done in a matter of hours, okay? The images from the UAS transform into a single image and then transform into a single image into a 3-dimensional map. Search and rescue operations. This was in the Philippines, okay, a few years ago. Okay, and drones are now used, okay, to determine if there's any survivors. Hones in on their cell phones, okay, for exact locations and different things like that. Illegal dumping, okay. You can monitor illegal dumping, okay, even in the U.S. here, okay, using drones. Requirements for law enforcement, they have special things. By the way, I consult with the Atlantic City Police Department, and the first time I talked to them, I said, look, this is my advice to you. You do what you want to do, okay? The way I would inculcate UAS is first start with search and rescue. Don't use drones to give out speeding tickets or anything else like that, okay? Start out with search and rescue. All right? It's the best way to go to get public support. The Finnish Post Office tests UAS as e-commerce deliveries, okay, over in Finland. Drone shield protects Boston Marathon, okay? No drones were allowed to fly except for the police drones, okay, on the Boston Marathon that took place this year for obvious security reasons, okay?
Is there a way of shutting down anything flying in the area?
Oh, yes, you can.
Like
That's one of the
sending
biggest
right
businesses.
signal?
One of the biggest businesses going now is drone security, okay? There are various and sundry different methods, okay, for stopping a drone. You could cut the signal out, okay? You can have lost link. You can do a lot of things to stop a drone right in its wake. So this is a drone shield invented by an MIT graduate, okay? They used it in the Boston Marathon. They're going to use it in the New York Marathon also. I was a lifeguard in Coney Island in Brooklyn, New York when I was growing up, okay? And, oh, good. And I can't understand why this took so long, okay? Using drones right now to go out and to film sharks, and sometimes finding that the shark is like 100 or 200 feet, okay, from the shoreline. Hey, I got news for you. They've always been there, okay? They just didn't bother anybody. Okay, this is unfortunately the 2011 earthquake and tsunami in Fukushima, Japan. Okay, and if I have time, I would love to talk about what's called the Bach protocol. There is a guy who has taken GPS technology, mixed it with seismic technology, okay, and came together with a way of predicting the height of the tsunami, okay, when you have an earthquake that involves continental and oceanic plate tectonics. And what he has done is he has invented a system that will give you 3 minutes of warning, okay, by the time an earthquake took place, okay, and uses calculations to determine the height of the tsunami. It was the tsunami that killed the most people in Japan, okay, and caused the most damage. It wasn't the earthquake itself. So by using what's called engineering system of systems, okay, you can take what I just talked about, which is GPS, seismic technology, and mix that with drones, okay, because what better thing to have, okay, than videotape of a drone looking at the height of a tsunami, okay, and then predicting where it will hit because it destroyed the seawall. It was way too high. Disaster relief, Moore, Oklahoma. We lost 2 employees in the FAA, okay, to those tornadoes out there. Immediate assessment, okay, of areas that are subject to cataclysms. This event took place in 2014. This was the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Love a woman in uniform, just love them, okay? And basically what happened was, okay, a guy got lost, okay, I think it was in British Columbia, and he had a car accident and knocked him unconscious, okay? It was dark, freezing temperatures. Emergency workers were unable to locate the car. The Canadian Mounted Police deployed an unmanned aircraft with an infrared camera and picked up the man's heat signature, okay, and saved his life. First recorded incident of saving somebody's life, okay, with a drone. Tanzania uses drones to an anti-poaching war, okay, because of the vast areas it has to cover, measuring ozone levels, okay, under the sea, okay. This is a system that uses, again, a system of systems. It uses GPS signal, okay, it uses radio links. Here's the control unit over here, and it goes underwater and tracks, okay, autonomous pingers going on. For example, this could be a black box, okay? This could be something else to determine the depth, okay? It would be lovely to use something like this in search of Malaysian Air 370 if the pinger was still going off. Okay, scientists are using UAS to map ocean trash. This is amazing. It's a large displacement underwater vehicle, okay? And basically it goes to great depths in the ocean and then in turn releases little submarines, okay? And it also can be used for reconnaissance, okay? Those drones can remain dormant for years until you see a need to use them. Okay, any show of hands? Oh, come on, this is not that difficult. Brooke Shields. Okay, we have Brooke Shields. Do we have any other guesses?
It says he, so
I wouldn't think so. Maybe Caitlin, but not Brooke Shields. Oh, you guys are going to kick yourself when you see this. Tom Cruise.
He was in Endless Love.
Yeah? Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that film.
It was his first film.
Let's go watch it now.
Okay, Alaska researchers use hexacopter to find hibernating bears, okay? what's going on here is that apparently the female polar bear hibernates, but the male polar bear doesn't hibernate. And he becomes a nuisance to things around him, okay, because he doesn't have a female partner. So basically up in Alaska, especially around the area where they have oil drilling and stuff like that, if you're going to drill in oil in Alaska, you have to maintain safety, okay, for the local and endemic population, okay? So they go out and they take a look at bears. It's great to monitor bears with a drone because it doesn't make that much noise. Using a helicopter, forget about it, okay? It's totally counterproductive. Pipeline security in Nigeria. Okay, Nigeria basically has an ongoing civil war between Muslims and Christians, and for the most part, every once in a while, the Muslims blow up, okay, pipelines and causing them a lot of trouble. And before we had hydraulic fracturing, every time there was an incident in Nigeria, our gas prices would go up. Okay, this is really cool. Okay, I told you about job opportunities for women in the world of UAS. Back in March 2014, what is March? Women's History Month. Okay, Lieutenant Colonel Amanda Brandt, okay, had a group of 34 women, okay, and they flew, okay, the Global Hawk for 35 consecutive hours, breaking a world's record. Okay, this was in Grand Forks Air Force Base. Okay, so great-looking group of professional women. Are you tired of where you're living? Maybe you'd like to live in drone towers. Okay, this is a design, okay, by Charles Bombardier, the famous designer. Okay. And what he's done is he's designed a building which will probably go up, and I believe it's either Japan or Dubai, okay? And it has platforms, okay, for drones outside, okay? And it's a drone-ready condo tower, okay? And it has personal flying vehicles that you'll have in there. Let me get another look. Yeah, that's the look outside your drone pad there, okay? Looking out on the environment, all right? And Bombardier developed a drone tower in concept with Ashish Tolkar, an industrial designer from Bangalore. He also created the concept of the eclectic airport quick boarding system and the Metro Shop commercial commuter train. Okay, this is what we do. Okay, I might as well leave this here. Okay.
Can we do like a couple minutes for questioning?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me just cover this one thing and then I'll stop.
Beautiful thing.
My son, okay, was selected by a headhunting group, okay, called Cameron Brooks, who recruits junior officers in the military, okay, for private sector jobs. And he was set up with 11 interviews with Fortune 500 companies in Charlotte, North Carolina back in January of this year. One of the companies was ChemImage, okay, which has 85 patents, okay, all right, and they are a leading, okay, forensic evidence and examination system in the world. They have more than 100 PhDs working for them. So why am I talking about this? Well, when Evan went for an interview, I looked up the company, okay, and I found something they made, okay. They made a little sensor about this big. It was called VeroVision. And the amazing thing about this analyzer and sensor is that it can take a look at any vapor, any liquid, or any solid, and within 10 seconds tell you what the composition is of that down to the elementary level, okay? So when I got that, okay, I thought to myself, you know, what was playing on the radio in my office? The fact, okay, that there were several fatalities in Pennsylvania because of black ice, okay, on the interstate parkways. I said to myself, if you took a drone, and you put the VeroVision on it, okay, and you had it patrol, okay, interstate highways, okay, in Pennsylvania, you could detect black ice, okay, within 10 seconds. Your vendors would be PennDOT, okay, insurance companies, trucking organizations. You could blast the information, okay, on highway signs and things like that, warning people in advance about black ice, because unfortunately, when you find black ice, it's a little bit too late, okay? You had 13 fatalities in Pennsylvania this past winter. So anyway, I called them up and I shared my idea with them. I said, would that sound like something you would do? They said, we've never done anything like that before, but it sounds very interesting. And what part would you like to play? I can't play any part, okay? It's a conflict of interest, okay? I just wanted to run the idea by your engineers to see if they thought it was a good idea. They said, we thought it's a very good idea, and they're looking into it now. Okay, Q&As? Anything that I didn't cover?
Back to the legality of using them and where they can be used.
Right.
For our audience, for our students, would each one of them have to have a license if they were participating in an after-school club?
It depends on what the club is doing. If the club is flying hobby recreational, they can just fly hobby recreational. They don't have to talk to anybody, but they have to follow the rules. They can't be within 5 nautical miles of the tower. They have to fly visual line of sight, different things like that. Okay, all these things are published. Okay, just hit Google and you'll find it. If they're flying under Part 107, then they have to register the drone. They have to get the knowledge test. Okay, and then they need the certificate. Okay, they got to take the test and pay the $150. Okay, and they have to have that certificate on them when they're flying. So it depends on what you're doing. Okay, if you're doing something really specialized, okay, then you have to go back to the certificate of authorization or the exemption for 333.
I'd say most of it falls under the hobby level.
As long as you
like
follow the
racing
rules.
drones and-
Yes. Yeah, as long as you follow the hobby and rec rules, okay, you'll be okay.
But just to follow up on that question, so the school district owns the drone, and teachers working with students, in an after-school program.
Right.
And they're just, learning how to navigate it, and more or less just taking, aerial photography with it. Would that fall under the recreational?
It depends. Once again, the first thing I would consider is how far are you from an airport that has an instrument approach, okay? If you're within 5 miles, the answer is no. I tell this to ACIT all the time, okay? They have a junior ROTC program and they want to fly drones. You can't fly it there, okay? You're within, 5 nautical miles of the airport. If you want to call them and see if you have their permission to do it, you can do that. Towers are very, very sympathetic to drone flyers, okay? And they're very, very cooperative, okay? As long as you tell them the truth and what you're doing, okay, more often than not, you'll get approval, okay? I see it happening more and more. So with the idea, are you talking about is there a school program using drones where you teach?
I'm just thinking, I'm involved in a school board in more of a middle school, high school
Right.
configuration where they've considered that.
Yeah.
And they're well beyond the 5-mile radius.
Okay.
But the usage would be just, more for aerial photography projects that the students would be involved in.
Okay, but understand you need a waiver to fly over people, okay? Some people might be upset, okay, about taking photography. There was an incident in Lower Township 2 years ago where a guy was measuring the progress on a construction house about a block away, and some guy came out of his house with a shotgun and shot it down. Well, he got arrested for discharging a weapon in public, okay? That happened again in Illinois. A woman notified her husband there was a drone out there, so he goes out there and he shoots it down. It was flying under a color, under a certificate of authorization, and she shot it down, okay? So, that was a really stupid thing to do, okay? So, the other thing is, just take my advice, don't end up on YouTube, okay? You have these people going to football games, okay? And you even had a congressman who was filming his marriage, okay, outside with a drone within the confines of New York City, okay? So, you just have to use the same safety-mindedness, okay, and consistency of the rules, okay, and then you'll be okay. If there's any problem, I have my phone number up there, okay, and I have my email, just check with me. I work for you guys, okay, I'm a federal employee, you guys pay my salary, okay, so if you have a question or something like that, just give me a call. I'm sorry.
So I can increase mine.
You already have my email. Do I have any time left or no?
I have a question. Let's go back to the aerial photography.
Right.
What are the legalities of that? So say you want to take pictures of our school or...
As long as you're involved in a collective, okay, in other words, everybody is okay with it. This happens all the time. You're outside, you're following hobby recreational rules, you're out of school, you want to take
the marching band.
The marching band or the football team, as long as you're within the confines of the hobby and recreation, you're okay. Okay. Then, of course, there's also the problem that some people, especially in this state, you usually need written permission for a still photograph. But I think the UAS photography is, when you're in a collective, is different than that. Okay.
So it follows the same if it's public.
Yeah.
I'm in a bar.
Yeah. You remember the case law. Okay. If it's public, okay, there is no presumption of privacy. Okay, in a public setting. Okay, like that. Okay. Any other questions?
You were going to tell us something at the end. You said at the end you had something to tell us about.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember what it was.
One list,
I have
not
a
to one
question
of them.
while you're if drones is not the acceptable word, are there any other words
Oh,
that are out
plenty
there?
of words. Remotely piloted vehicle. The Europeans use a different.
But we need a quick,
But
one
UAS.
syllable that replaces the word drone.
Oh, well, the official term is unmanned aviation system. Okay. In Europe, you've got a term like remotely piloted aircraft. Then you've got submersibles, and they operate under a different term. But basically, they're all the same thing. Okay, they're all operate the same way. Gee, I wish I could remember what it was I was talking about.
You said I'll tell you at the end.
Yeah, I know, but
There was a picture, and you said, oh, remind me, I'll say.
It was what list you don't want to wind up on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's a
yeah.
list.
Oh, yeah,
Worse
worse than the
than
no-fly
the
list.
no-fly.
The
Worse than
no-fly
the
list,
no-fly
and there was
list.
another list.
Oh, okay.
Worse than the no-fly list.
I was kidding around with Dean Keenan one day, and I was just kidding around with her, and I told her that she wanted to just suggest something that would not be exactly kosher, okay? So we kidded around, and I told her that she's going on the no-fly list. And she said, oh, please don't put me on that. I said, there's actually a worse list, okay? You guys have probably never heard this, okay? But the TSA has a list called SSSS, okay? And basically what it is if you go to an airport and you give the TSA a tough time, okay? Your ticket, if they're going to take your ticket, they're going to put 4 S's on it, either in black or in red, okay? And what that means is that you're going to go to the back of the line, okay? You're going to probably miss your flight, okay? You're going to possibly go under extra interrogation and also have extra search for your luggage and stuff like that. That's the TSA's way of saying, don't screw with me, okay? So there's actually something worse than no-fly. Of course, and you're not going to get your money back from your ticket unless unless you get permission from the airlines. So for the most part, even though we all have our own stories, okay, about the TSA, and I certainly have mine, okay, if you want to make sure you make your flight, okay, just don't screw around with them. Right? Yeah, that's what I didn't remember. Okay.
I have one question. If a school district wants to start with drones and they've never done it, is there any funding that would be provided through another organization or through you guys where they're discounted?
There might be something locally. I would check with Lobiondo's office, okay, because I remember seeing something in my travels of where the FAA was supporting, not financially, but supporting the idea of schools starting with a drone program. ACIT has started their aviation, Atlantic County Institute of Technology has started their aviation program for high school students under the junior ROTC program. And basically, I do not know if they got funding. I don't know what they did there to do that, but I can certainly find out. Jamie Moscone, okay, is the head of curriculum over there.
Is that the program that's with ACC? The one that they bring the students out during the day to ACCC?
Yeah.
And they'll get their, in 2 years, in 4 years, they'll get an AS degree also.
Yeah. Well, the ones in the reason they're running it in ACIT is because they'll do the same thing you do here in Stockton with high schools. They'll have like 30 credits for college by the time they're done with high school. Okay? Only their credits will be directed towards or properly enhanced in aviation. Yeah, which I think is a good idea. I'm going to be teaching 2 courses there, okay, at ACIT. Not this year. I'll be teaching Introduction to the National Airspace System and Introductions to UASs. Any other questions? No other Jeopardy questions. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, just take this, okay, and every question you have about flying the Department 107 is answered here, okay, so you can just take it home with you, all right? Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity.
And a little thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Adam, Barney is still around?
Thank you.
Oh, I can't hold my stomach in more than 5 seconds.
Hurry. Bernie's still around, I brought it. Arnie Barnett.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, are you, I'm saying he's still
He's a
around?
great guy. He's a really great guy.
Had him contracts.
Yeah.
Now, his presentation will, you all have a link to his presentation. It will come in your email, but we also posted it on our Twitter.
Well, that was really great. Thank you so much. Very privileged to have you come with us.
Can I check this contract just really quick?
Sure. Just a quickie break here. Commercial.
I did sign it
Look at this, the E-Drive.
I can't see what I'm looking at.
E-Drive. It's E-Drive.
Is it this one?
Yes. It's also
could sit here.
system track.
Okay, let me do it down there. It's so hard for me to look at it at this screen. I know, right? Yours is not it.
Yeah, basically.
Yours is not.
No.
Yeah.
something in Paris that was kind of like a drone conference, and there's one of them, it's in one of those, but it was like the drone festival in Paris. I don't know what they did, but it looked really cool and interesting. And they actually have this thing called the Drone Racing League. I guess
That's actually been on television on ESPN. That is one of the fastest growing sports in the country. They fly in regular football fields and baseball fields, and they travel in some cases up to 80 to 100 miles an hour. It's amazing to watch.
So they have these drones, and then they have their gear on. Are they looking at like a virtual reality that they're going through, or do they actually set up an actual physical obstacle course to go through?
Yeah, no, they're going through the optics, okay, but they're traveling so fast, okay, that they really need to facilitate with that device.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're actually racing.
Racing through actual physical.
Yes, they'll set up.
Obstacle course.
They may set up electronic hoops like that. They're going to go through things like that, just so there's no crashing.
Right, because a lot of people watch.
Yeah.
You know, then you have to go for speed, time, accuracy, and not crash.
Yeah, they project things like this,
Yeah.
or different things that they have to pass through, so that everybody's not going through random.
So I guess that would be a little popular. So you can click on these links when you get the presentation back. There are some other things, and there's some terms and whatnot. It could be a pilot, the FAA site. Just a little bit about global coding collaboration. Do you want to take a second to tell us about that? I just put up the, there's more text on it after this, but I just put up the map so you can see where from where to where. That's going on. So, and thanks for
Snowville and Johannesburg, they're actually starting a partnership with 4th graders based on Jackie Chetty's visit here.
So apparently one of our mate grads, 2016, she's grad, yes. And she's working with another woman in Johannesburg and doing a cool, like, you know, get to know each other activities and so on. So that's really great. So we hope that we get, in addition to what we're doing in our excellent presentations that, like Adam's, we can continue to move on and keep the sustainability of all the different things that we're doing. Really excited because we had that competition and for programming for students, and we had a lot of students get involved in computer science. It was really great. We'll be doing another one. Demetrius is going to tell us a little bit about a couple things because he seems to be our go-to person now for all things competition.
Nice.
Want to come on up?
Yeah, sure.
Nice and loud. Nice and loud.
Good evening, everyone. I do actually have a presentation I'll pull up here. All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the Stock Hack event, the high-tech innovation and design event that we're going to be hosting at Stockton University. That is going to take place on Saturday, November 19th, starting at approximately 12 p.m. And it'll go for 24 hours to Sunday, 12 p.m. So, an event overview. It's an event involving minors from the local area, high school students predominantly, for an innovative technology design contest. Individuals or participants will form small groups and work overnight on campus to create or otherwise design and implement innovative content. All right. So as part of this, you can imagine there's a focus on protecting minors that are involved. So Stockton University is in the process of rolling out a protection of minors compendium, let's say. And basically there's some information about the protection of minors that is available on that website there. And essentially the policy dictates that internal constituents and external constituents can get access to training materials. And there is some differentiation between how internal versus external works, and we can clarify that for you, basically. So anyways, we're going to try to partnership with Major League Hacking, MLH. They're a big player in the hackathon space. So we're trying to get them on board to participate, basically help us market for the event, potentially even include some technology for the day of, some oversight and governance, that sort of thing. They do have a code of ethics that they put out there for what folks should or shouldn't be doing while they're at the hackathon, that sort of thing. And for the most part, it seems pretty straightforward. So anyway, they're a great group if we can get them involved. As far as sponsorship is concerned, we can get some corporate sponsors to help us fund some of the needs for the event. We are looking at some options right now, and we'll basically report back on that. As far as logistics are concerned, we're expecting at most 200 student participants, high school, university, and college students. There's probably going to be about 18 student liaisons working different aspects of the event, 12 staffing liaisons, 10 technical liaisons, potentially 1 or 2 MLH staffers that would serve as a publicist and event coordinator. The potential for 10 external adults, like folks from the CSTA potentially, right, if there's interest there. Kyle as well, which is an individual who graduated, I believe, from Millville last year. So he had some interest in hosting a high-tech hackathon kind of event, and he found that Stockton was amenable basically to working with him on that. So he's part of our planning crew. And we're going to involve some health directors in the sense that with minors and really any amount of individuals on campus like this, there may be some medical issues, disbursement of medication, pharmaceuticals, that kind of stuff might be an issue. So we are going to staff the event with EMTs, make sure that we're prepared. All right, so that's more or less it as far as the stock hack logistics are concerned. It is something that that we're looking forward to here on the campus, and something that in the future, I think, for the coming years is going to be an interesting complement to the programming contest that we do in March, because it's really a different kind of event. So in terms of the kind of things that these folks are going to be doing when they're here, right, there's really 2 different avenues that I see right now with the potential for more. But one would be kind of a web application innovation sort of thing, where a small team would come together, put together a website, and essentially present on that the following day for judgment, right? The other thing would be more like a Shark Tank incubator sort of contest, where small groups would form and they would try to create a product and essentially design as much of that as they can, prototyping it, and then at the judgment, they would present their product to potential investors, right, the judges. So in any event, those are the 2 ideas so far for the types of contest sort of material that we have going on. But we are willing to, listen if you have any other advice for us on that. But anyway, it's going to be an interesting event, and I look forward to it. So if you need any information, you're welcome to email me. I'll be around, and gladly respond to you.
Thank you for sending the notes out.
Yep.
So a couple things you could use from us. You could use volunteers anytime in that 24-hour time period, and then possibly people who could be judges.
That's correct. Yeah.
Or anyone else to help facilitate, or find us sponsors.
Yeah,
so
that's
those
correct.
are like the 3 areas we can help you with?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
That's correct. So any ideas regarding sponsors, please pass them by us. If you'd like to volunteer to help us facilitate the event, we obviously appreciate it. Please let us know. And really, if you have any ideas for us, please let us know. We'd love to hear it. So I think that's about it. Unless, anybody, any questions, comments?
Thanks. All right, so make a note of that address for him, which I'll go back up there.
Okay.
So that you can contact
We have an address for the
Oh, that's right, yeah.
share the URL.
Want to write on the board? The date
Sure.
again, short easy.
These are all.
You want us to send it out?
Saturday.
Saturday into Sunday. Anybody like that 2 a.m. to like 6 a.m. slot? Because I know it's a lot I'm probably not going to be doing. So since our next meeting is going to be right, want to write the date on there too?
Sure.
Our next meeting is in November. It's right before the teacher convention, which is a little further in the agenda, but I wanted to get that out there and make sure that you can help volunteer or, just get involved, or if you want to know more about it, just keep in touch with Demetrius. They have keeps it informed on everything. Like if you want to bring students, if you want to just participate, if you want whatever. And then we're already in swing for planning our CS competition, our programming competition again, and that's the date for that. I know a lot of students like to come. We're going to expand it, hopefully have more students than last year. And a lot of our teachers need to put in those permission slips early, so you can already put the date in. And using last year's time and information, if you need more details, email me, and we'll send you the details on that. But it'll
Should
be
we
very
update this more on that and all of that?
Yeah, we could.
Okay.
Thanks.
Just an FYI, Adam has just volunteered to be a judge.
Oh, nice.
Oh, that's awesome.
Thank you, Adam. Very excited about that. Shout outs. I don't get too many people. We've got great things going on. I don't have too many. But I do want to send one out specifically. I really want to thank Dawn for being our secretary and doing such a great job and helping out all the time. It's just been so helpful to us and get everything, keeping me on track and, you know, following through and everything. I know she has a couple really good shout outs. She's been very, very busy with outreach to other areas. So we just got a class going on in Bridgeton. She might want to tell us a little bit about that and brag a little bit. And I know that you proposed a new course that got approved, yes?
I did.
So she's got lots of shout outs. Quiet little thing over there in the corner. Either one of those you'd like to talk about real quick? Just tell us about it. No? Okay. Well, are you teaching that class?
I am now.
Now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, going well.
35 and a wait
Well,
list.
next, I was gonna say, next time you can, you know, shout it out and then we'll make sure we're in enrollments, but obviously you don't need them. Any other shout outs, brags, happiness? Yes?
Marquita.
Hi, Marquita.
Marquita has an instructional design position at Atlantic Cape now.
Well, congratulations. Congratulations. That's terrific. Anyone else? Any other good news? Anything happening? Anything fun?
I have something fun that's
Yes.
totally non-technical.
Okay.
But my family, my wife and I, were hosting an exchange student from Germany this year. She's actually attending high school at Southern Regional where Missy teaches, and she's a junior, and we have a senior and a sophomore there. So it's like really amazing to learn a new culture, learn a new language, and then at the same time be able to teach her so much about the United States at the same time. So
I went through that. I exchanged in Germany in 1994. It was very interesting.
And I had one that my parents hosted when I was young, but I was much younger. So this is it was a neat experience to be able to do it now as a parent. So it's a host family. It's certainly something I would recommend. You know, if you're ever considering it, if you ever had the anxiety that you didn't want to do it, it's well worth it. You know, there's a significant return.
One of the teachers at our school had a girl from Germany last year, and she said when she left, it was like losing a daughter. And they went to visit her at Christmas, actually. Yeah, the whole family went out there, and yeah, it really got nice.
Did you meet her?
I did. Met your wife and sweetheart.
Yeah.
Nervous, you know what I mean?
Very
But,
nice.
she's from Germany. Well, she's attending our school, so I saw Bob's wife, and she was all nervous. I saw her after school, and she was just loved. She's excited, nervous, because it's a whole new world, a whole different environment. But I think she'll assimilate very well into our school and district. And I think it's a great host family, so she's blessed in that sense. So I think it'll be great.
I do always have a lot of appreciation for the fact that the students that come are pretty well versed in English language.
Yes.
Anything interesting happening at EHT?
No, we got a new teacher to replace Janet Smith, and he's Google certified, comes out of Lehman Township, and he's going out to a conference in Toronto. He's really high in the Google level. But we're just getting settled.
Yeah, if you know, I sent out one thing before, but if you know of any job openings or positions, that's always really helpful to, you know, help with our network and whatnot. So keep that in mind too.
Yeah, for the first time this summer, okay, the FAA, in addition to having university and college interns for the summer, they have the high school volunteer program in which you apply to local schools, public schools, private schools, and home schools. And the students would come in and they would work maybe 3 days a week. It was a great experience, and it looks really great on your resume also from Quiet College.
Did you coordinate that?
No, that's coordinated by a woman named Carla Hall. Okay, that's, if you email me,
Okay.
I can't remember what her phone
You
number is.
can add that to our
Email.
list of.
I can
I'm
connect.
sticking
skills teachers. Princeton had a really great opportunity. They were actually giving a stipend. I sent that out earlier. I don't know anyone that went to that. It was pretty short notice that they put it out. I am in touch with them regularly because anything that has a stipend too, everybody likes to know about. So they have not yet posted for next year, but hopefully we can get on board as soon as they do. We got the CSTA job board. Over the summer, I said you that we did the New Jersey, the 3 chapters, Northern, Central, and us, Southern, got together. And we were talking about that CSTA annual conference is going to be next year. It's going to be in Baltimore. And we're going to try to get together as a group for New Jersey and send a presence down there. So because it'll, be close to home, nobody has to fly, and it's, be a good opportunity. So we'll talk about that a little later on, but that's something, a couple, maybe next meeting and so on. But if you want to find out more about the Princeton one, click on that one, and I'll give you the events that they're doing if you want to keep track of it. And then, the main program is also another PD opportunity for everybody, which is totally online. I think there's a couple of new instructors that are there. Joan, should go. Just keeping current. As I said, there's some changes going on with the New Jersey's, but the New Jersey chapter actually like our umbrella, and then there's the national chapter, the national organization. But if you go, you can get their Twitter feed and whatnot. The central and northern chapters are pretty much kind of working together to do one meeting here, one meeting there, and they kind of overlap. I noticed that Central Jersey really, to me, seems like Northern Jersey. So if you look at where they're located, one's at Kane and one's at Rutgers. To me, they're all Northern Jersey. If they're listening, hi guys. Quite a few wanted to listen to Adam's presentation today, so we sent that off to the state. I don't know how many actually came or participated virtually, but hi to all of you that did get to make it. And then a couple of future PD topics. We know that we have a Stockton alum who is working for the FBI right now, and I know that someone met them from one of the other chapters, and they're up in North Street. Maybe we could get something like that. Adam Greco and I were talking about some other options for future PD, but please let me know what sounds interesting and what you're interested in. I think it'd be kind of fun to get another hands-on something going on. So other than maybe flying some of those drones, maybe we can find some sort of hands-on kind of activity too. So if you have any thoughts on that, let me know. I think that'd be kind of fun to do something a little interactive. So as I said, North and Central. So our meeting dates, we know the next one is going to be November 9th, and the Teachers Convention is after that. So maybe we'll just plan something hands-on. Someone could do a practice if they're going to be presenting at the convention. You want to practice on this? We'll take it. So send me some ideas. And the hard to top today's presenter. So send me some ideas. Otherwise, I'm going to be out of ideas. It's a tough act to follow. And then North Jersey, Central Jersey, if you're in that area, you're more than welcome to go to their meetings. They're date, time, and where they meet. They usually meet in the evening. Some of their times change because they try to have a little bit more of a 5:30 or a 7, depending on which school they're meeting at. Problem they have there is it's just the traffic is really, really hectic and kind of hard to get to. So that's why they're having problems with some of their dates. And then just some notes. The CSTA has a steering committee now, and I got volunteered to be a part of the curriculum. There are some other subcommittee groups that I'll send out what they're looking for and what they need help in. If you're interested, just shoot me an email back. We're, I think, probably most tech proficient and able to send our meetings out to other people, and that's something that they would like to model. So we're kind of working on that. And there's a new web page, like an entire new website coming for CSTA, so it's not the same one, which might be able to fix that double email problem. And doing a lot of work with legislation, so there's a whole structure to it. Working on, so there's a legislative committee, a communications committee, someone working on membership, and so on. So we'll have a little bit of support more in New Jersey overall. And then that legislation, nothing too new on the legislation, but you can keep track of it on your own. And then what else? Just memberships. As I said, sign up for that membership if you haven't already, and send us your membership number so that you can get access to that. You can read that over, you know, as you read the PowerPoint. Our next meeting is November 9th, which is Wednesday, and
Before we adjourn, can we just talk about parking going forward?
about what?
Parking going forward?
Sure. Any cabinet members here that might be able to talk about that?
No, I mean, the permits.
Yeah,
Just so we
yeah.
know. Not everybody goes.
I was kind of hoping that Bob might jump in because I'm not exactly sure. All I know is what I read on the website because I sent an email to the parking person and I haven't heard back yet, which was a couple days. I was kind of surprised. It might have gotten lost in spam. My husband has an ongoing joke and he says there is no such guy as the parking. His name is Michael, right?
Yeah,
There's no such person as Michael Sullivan. We just made it up so you have somebody to complain to and nobody has to listen to you.
If we have the list of attendees, you know, who are coming in person in advance, we can issue, you know, visitors passes and actually email them a permit that they can have for their car. You know, so I'll work with you and come up with the common language to get that out.
Right, you guys would be like, fall under the category of guests. And I noticed that on the website it says if you're after 4:30, you don't need a parking tag. So I'm guessing that that is gonna, you know, remain, but it may change depending on how busy the evenings are.
Yeah, you don't need it if you came earlier than that, actually.
Right, right.
So just so everybody's aware, this fall is really the first time on Stockton's campus that we've required a parking permit for, you know, commuter students, faculty, and staff. Previously, we only registered permits for our residential students, but as you can tell, as you came on campus tonight, you know, we're in the process of a significant, you know, expansion. You know, 2 new academic buildings that are creating this quad in front of the campus center. We have created alternate lots on the other side of campus where our freshmen who, you know, have, you know, don't really know any better because they were never here before, but they're now parked their vehicles in the new lot. And what previously was residential lots, lot 6 and lot 7 near housing 2 and 3 on this side of campus, are for our commuters, you know, and our faculty and staff. But we are, you know, during the day, Monday through Friday, requiring that, you know, permits are used for those spots. And we have over, I think it's close to now 8,200 registered permits, you know, on campus. So it's a significant number that have been distributed and vehicles registered. And the citations are only during that period during the day right now. But as Lynn mentioned, that may change, you know, because some of the evenings do get busier. Of course, it also depends on the events we have going on campus. But I'll work with Michelle to make sure that, particularly if you want to come to campus earlier, you can get a visitor's pass. There are visitor spots right outside the campus center now that are available. So if you ever come to campus, you know, and just to stop in, you can park there and walk right into the campus center operations desk to pick up a pass. So if you're here for a tour, we even have a small lot that's set aside for admissions as well.
And seriously, like without, you know, too much information on it, just putting something in your windshield that says you know, at a meeting at meeting room 5, you know, or whatever, is just helpful, you know. So if in the meantime, that's what I tend to do if I'm going to be somewhere, because when we go to Rutgers, it's crazy parking and it's all hours of the day that they check. We have a very, very liberal policy for students who drive, so students are always allowed to drive. I know that my kids, when they went to college, they weren't allowed to drive until they were, have a car on campus. They weren't allowed to have one until they were juniors, and they had to park like 5 miles away, and there was no shuttle. Here we're talking, what, quarter of a mile, and there's a shuttle. You know,
we have a number of shuttles that are operating the campus. The students can actually view on their phone the location of the shuttle so that they can pick them up, you know, from different places. And then, of course, they go to our off-site locations, the Seaview. And this fall, we just opened a new housing complex on Christmas as well.
So if you think you're going to be on campus, just shoot me or Bob an email, and we'll make sure that you're good to go. And then going forward, if you think you're going to spend a little more time, because we're going to be doing some committee meetings. I know one of them is starting tomorrow at 3:30, so we're going to see what happens with that one. I have to make sure we get on that. So we can get you, you know, a guest parking option. Just let me know if you need one right away versus whatever procedure we come up with for any members who come or may come in the future that are new members. And thanks to our new members for coming.
More comments?
just want to say, keep me on this mailing list for the competition. I'll be a judge again this year.
Okay. Do you want to grab that? There's one blank sheet on it. Okay, you got it.
For the March?
No, for the judging for, the March competition, yes. I was on last year's,
Yeah.
but I'd like to do it again this year.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was a wonderful experience.
Yeah, thanks, and we really appreciate the help.
Can I just ask, is anyone doing that at Minecraft education? Is anyone registered for that? No, okay. I just did it, I put it on this computers Monday.
Did you register to be
I
like
did. I tried.
Kevin Jarrett knows a lot about that.
Oh, okay, good.
Hi, Kevin, if you're around.
He just got an honor too.
Yes, yes.
I did the tutorial.
And Glenn just became a superintendent.
Yeah, he was our vice principal at AHT, and then got the principal job in Northfield, now is the superintendent. Forget the name of the township, a little further out west. And, who was the other person? Who said?
Fred Nichols is acting superintendent at EHT right now.
And then, Meredith Martin. This is
Meredith
her
Martin
new
is now-
position. I asked her to send me some pictures of her new room and her setup, but I'm sure she's off and having fun doing her STEM in school in Philadelphia now. I wish her lots of luck. Anybody have any other comments? Questions? No? Well, thank you all for coming, and thanks to our virtual attendees. Motion to adjourn?
Michelle motion.
Michelle? Missy, second. All in favor? Yes? Aye. Opposed? Okay, great. Grab some leftovers and enjoy. And we'll see you in November, if not